Hi knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits. For this video, we're making a bookmark. We're actually knitting a bookmark. So there are a few little tips that you have to remember in order to knit this bookmark, but this is a perfect gift for anyone who loves reading. It's a perfect gift for Mother's Day. It's a perfect project to do with your kids as well. So look it over, and the other thing you could do is customize it. So you don't have to do that little triangular ending that I do on this particular demonstration. You could do a square end. You can make your bookmark long or short. You can make it skinny or a little wider. It is all up to you. What we're going to be doing is making a bookmark that looks somewhat like this. And you can make it any size you want. I'm just picking a normal bookmark, a bookmark I have, and then measuring accordingly. Make a bookmark, what you will need is a fine yarn. So it's not a weight of 4, but less than 4. So a 2 or a 3 weight soft yarn, not hard. So a soft weight of 2 or 3, because you want it to be fine, so that way then it doesn't bulge. So you want that. You're going to you'll need double pointed needles at one point. You will need a sewing needle as well, but you will also need needles that are of size US size 6, 4 millimeters or smaller. So 3.5 or 4 millimeter needles as well. The reason for this is because you want to make your bookmark soft and thin enough that it could go between your pages so that the book doesn't bulge open. The number of stitches that you're going to be casting on will depend on how wide you want your bookmark. So I'm using this as my example. So because of this, I'm going to be casting on 16 stitches. And this is how wide the 16 stitches gives. If you want a skinnier one, then you go based off of that. So you determine the number of stitches based off of the bookmark that you've chosen. But for demonstration, I'm gonna be doing 16 stitches. Now the pattern that you choose to work on is also dependent on the fact that we don't want it to bulge when between pages. Try to avoid moss stitch or even cable stitching. You want to try to avoid anything that pops out as much. You want it to be as flat as possible. So garter stitching, which is just plain knitting, works. Rib design works, as you see here, but even the stockinette pattern will work as well. So for this demonstration, what I'm going to be doing is the stockinette pattern, but what I'm going to do is on either side, I'm going to create border. To begin, let's cast on the number of stitches we want, and then from there move forward. Once you have knit your bookmark, so what I did was I used this particular pattern where when I started off, I did 2 rows of just knit, and then on either side, what I'm doing is 2 stitches of knitting, and then the stockinette pattern in the middle, and at the end, 2 stitches of knits as well. So this is the pattern that I've done for my bookmark. And now what I have done is knit about 3/4 of the way through. Now your bookmark can be longer or shorter, it's up to you, but I chose this particular bookmark and I have knit about 3/4 of the way through. So at this point, what I'm going to do is start decreasing to get this particular pattern. So I want to create this particular pattern right here and then create this little tail. So in order to do this, I need this much portion where I'm decreasing on the other end. So once you get to that point and you want to create that decrease, you don't need to. So basically what you could do is make it a rectangle bookmark, just as this. So you could finish it off the same way and then close and bind off at the end. But if you do want this particular pattern, and for this demonstration, that is what we're going to do. I am at a point where I'm going to start decreasing. At this decrease point, what you could now do is choose to continue with your pattern, or you could just make this portion of it all net to make it easier. So it is going to be up to you, but in order to continue with your pattern, you just need to understand where your decreases are and then go accordingly. So what we're going to do for this, the first row in your decrease portion, is I'm going to knit 2 together. I'm going to knit 2 first. Then I'm going to knit 2 together. And I'm going to then knit till the end where I have 4 stitches remaining, because I'm going to keep it the same on the other end. So I am going to, so my first row will have 2 stitch decrease. So here I am. I'm going to knit 2 together and do my last 2 knits. Row 2 is going to be continuing with the same pattern. So in my case, I'm going to knit 2, then purl the rest, and then knit the last 2. For row 3, I'm going to do another 2 decrease. Now, if you notice, I'm not decreasing too many at the same time. It's because in order to get this triangle look, you want it to start off slow in terms of your decreases to get to a point where you only have about 4 stitches remaining. So you want to slowly decrease so it looks like a gradual triangle rather than a forced triangle. So again, I'm going to repeat where I'm going to knit 2, and then I'm going to knit 2 together, then knit till the end where I have 4 remaining again, and then I could repeat the decrease on the other side. So every other row, so every odd row, I'm going to decrease 2 till I get to a point where I have only 4 stitches remaining. And then there, we're going to start the I-cord. So why don't you get to that point and then we'll start the I-cord. Once you have done your decreases and you have 4 stitches remaining, what we're now going to do is start creating the I-cord. Now, if you do not remember how to do an I-cord, please see the link and it will remind you of that. But basically what we're going to now do is move these 4 stitches onto the double pointed needles. So you'll need these now. So just remove these and put these in here. And what we're going to do is keep knitting. And now in this case, what you're doing is creating this little portion. So it's up to you how long you want to make it or how short you want to make it. But this portion is made from the I-cord. So I'll just do the first few so you know what to do. So you will basically knit the first row. Now, you're not going to rotate this. You're just going to move this over and knit your next row. Hence why you needed the double pointed needles. So you're just going to keep knitting. So you're going to keep knitting this way till you get the length you desire for this portion for your I-cord. Once you have finished making the I-cord to the length that you want, what you're going to do is cut the yarn, leave about 3 or so inches because you'll need that. So then cut it. Now you're going to take your sewing needle and we're going to close off the end. So you're going to take this yarn and take it from the opposite side of where the yarn is and just take it through the 4 stitches. Then tighten it. And now what you're going to do is just take your needles through the I-cord, the tip of the I-cord a few times, so that way then it locks itself in place. So now what we're going to create is this portion, basically the frills at the end of the bookmark. So what you would do is take your yarn, the ball of your yarn, take your hand and hold it here and wrap it around your fingers a few times. So I would do it about 30 times. So wrap it around 30 times. If you want it thicker, you could do it more. If you want it thinner, you could do less than 30, but 30 is usually ideal. Then cut the end. Now take the string that you began with, once I find it because I lost it, and take this string and wrap it around a few times, and then you're going to knot it in place. So you're basically going to take the starting yarn and the end yarn and just knot it, and then lock it a few times. So I'm just knotting it 3 or 4 times so that it's tight and it won't come out. So now I have this ball. So what I'm going to do is look at this side, and I want to wrap this right here because I want it to be at the end. So basically what I'm going to do now is take my needle. I'm going to sew this part to this part and just make it go through so it locks it in place. So I would recommend doing this a few times so it's in place. And then basically roll a few times around. So take your yarn, that's why you wanted a few extra inches, so you could do this, and then take it through and lock it. What I'm doing with the extra yarn is just making it go through along the I-cord, so it kind of hides in, so it gives it a more cleaner look. So now this extra bit right here, what you're going to do with this is you're going to cut it in half. So you're going to take that hole and just cut everything in half, and then just clean it up like that so anything extra comes out, so that way then it's nice and clean. And if you still see some loops like this, just cut that, and that, or you have it. if you want to make it smaller or more puffier, you can play around with the cut. But that's basically how this part ends up. This is your end result. Relax, enjoy, and keep knitting. If you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. And if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to get the latest videos on knitting projects, knitting ideas, knitting patterns, and much, much more.